Good morning. Thank you for joining me for my daily Come Follow Me study of the Book of Mormon. Today is Tuesday the 9th, and we're going to start with a daily reflection on the Book of Mormon. Oh, the vainness and the frailties and the foolishness of men! When they are learned, they think they are wise, and they hearken not unto the counsel of God, and they shall perish. But to be learned is good if they hearken unto the counsels of God. 2 Nephi chapter 9, verses 28 through 29. If is a word that changes everything. Education is good, even essential, if we hearken unto the counsels of God. Prophets have always encouraged us to study, to learn, and ponder, but they've also cautioned us to be wise, for we may be ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth that really matters. Some may think that meek servants of the Lord who are preachers of righteousness don't understand very much about the universe and things in it. It has ever been so, because the devil would convince us that intellectualism is the pathway to peace and knowledge. In the end, what we know in our minds will be ever so meaningless if we don't know and feel the truths of the gospel in our hearts. The gifts of the Spirit that mightily change our hearts will bring us closer to the infinite truth of the everlasting God. I don't think that's one of my problems. Okay, today is Jacob chapter 5, verses 16 through 30. We're continuing the allegory of the olive tree in this section. They go and they check on the tree. The natural tree, is bringing forth good fruit. And they're very excited, and they're going to lay up the fruit against the season. And then the Lord of the vineyard says, let's go to the nethermost parts where I hid some of the branches and see how they're doing. And they're bringing forth fruit. They've taken to the trees, the branches have, and they're starting to grow fruit. And the Lord of the vineyard is excited. And the servant says, why did you plant them here? This is like the worst spot. And he's like, don't counsel me, okay? We're not going to do that. I knew it was the worst spot. That's why I've been working with it this whole time. I've been pruning it and feeding it and, all that good stuff. And then they're going to check on some other trees, and the fruit is cumbering the tree. So that's where we're at in verses 16 through 30. I'm finding it very difficult to pick a particular verse for my long suffering, because the entire thing is about long suffering. The whole thing is the Lord working with his people. They're either doing well or they're not, or they're taking the influence of the wild branches and incorporating them into the natural tree, making the fruit not good. He's got to do this. He's got to work. He is working with the trees. He's working with the branches. He's trying his best. He's long suffering. So I'm finding it hard to pick a verse, because the whole thing, not just one verse, exemplifies this. The whole thing is an allegory about long suffering, about how the Lord deals with us, his people. So I can't pick a single verse. All right, let's just get into our commentary. Sorry, my hands were extremely dry. Okay. Over the years, I have enjoyed discussing the allegory of Zenos with various priesthood, gospel doctrine, and institute classes. There are many layers of meaning in this masterful allegory, which seems to incorporate endless variations of the theme of development, progress, and the blessings of the harvest. I have found that it has often proven helpful with such a long discourse, the longest chapter in the Book of Mormon, to view the events of the allegory as a grand drama, reflecting the principles and milestones of spiritual progression, including conflict, early harvest, tragedy and faith, and final labors and harvest. These acts and scenes of the drama can be outlined as follows. Verses 2 through 3 are the preamble, the Lord's introduction to the allegory. Act 1 is the conflict. Verses 4 through 6 are scene 1, the initial strategy of the Lord nurturing. Verses 7 through 14 is scene 2, subsequent strategies, grafting, transplanting, burning. Act 2, early harvest. Verses 15 through 18, scene 1, the natural tree bears fruit. Verses 19 through 28, scene 2, the transplanted branches bear fruit. Act 3, tragedy and faith. Verses 29 through 37, scene 1, the roots are overrun. Verses 38 through 60, scene 2, loftiness brings about destruction. Act 4, final labors and harvest. Verses 61 through 72, scene 1, the master strategy, restoration and balance. Verses 73 through 75, scene 2, resolution, all is accomplished. Verses 76 through 77, postlude, looking to the future and the end. By experiencing the allegory of Zenos as an epic play, one can often more readily relate to the principal players, including the servant advocate, spare it a little longer, and the Lord of the vineyard himself. What could I have done more for my vineyard? By likening scriptures such as these unto ourselves, as Nephi counseled, we can gain perspective on how to magnify our offices and callings in the vineyard of the Lord, trimming away the non-productive growth from our lives and cultivating vitality of spirit and fruitfulness of service. The Lord of the vineyard is the venue of miracles. The transformation that comes from living the gospel as part of the vineyard service is a miracle. Okay, so there's just a little outline for you. All right, and that's it. Then jumps to verse 41, and we're not there yet. So there's where we are. Okay, so if we liken these scriptures to ourselves, we are the olive tree, and trimming away the unnecessary or the cumber of our lives. We could do it that way. We could think of it that way. Okay. Yeah. If we're starting at the beginning, if we're talking about what we've read yesterday and what we read today, we are the tree. And as we come to look upon ourselves, we're starting to die and decay. In what way? Are we getting lackadaisical in our faith? Are we becoming content in, our lives? Are we just kind of plateauing? What do we need to do? We need to dig about, nourish, maybe take some of the branches, plant them in a different area, take our energies and put it into something else, something new, and then maybe bring in something we haven't tried before. Bring that into our life, see if that nourishes the ground. Okay, I think I connected it pretty well there. Okay. It's Tuesday, and there's nothing really for our second portion, general conference challenge portion of the video, but I'm used to doing it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about my plans, and then we'll do let's do the daily reading on prayer, and then we'll talk about my plans. We'll just stick with tradition. Okay, today is day 100. Vaughn J. Featherstone, you can't pray a lie. There are times when we need to sufficiently humble ourselves before the Lord. Mahanrai Moriankamer. That one took me a second. I was like, how do you pronounce this? King Benjamin, Nephi, Abraham, and Moroni all practiced this principle. In fact, all of the prophets of all the ages have practiced it. Consider an introduction to prayer such as this. Our Father, who art in heaven, I kneel before thee this day in deepest solemn gratitude. I realize I am as nothing less than the dust of the earth, the least of all thy servants, the weakest of the weak. I humble myself before thee as dust and ashes, unworthy even to approach thee. I believe it pleases the Lord for us to come before him with this type of humility. It isn't false humility. We are not praying thus to impress others, for we are all alone with him. Therefore, we are not expecting others to say, "My, you are humble." We don't want that. We want him to know. We know, and he knows. As Huckleberry Finn says, you can't pray a lie. I think the Lord appreciates our humbling ourselves sufficiently before him. Then we express our gratitude, and then we implore him. I don't know if it's my pride, but this one sits a little off with me. Mainly because we're told repeatedly we're children of God, and that we can never sink lower than his light shines, and that we are always supposed to come to him no matter what. So the fact that we're saying we're unworthy even to approach thee, that doesn't sit well with me. The teachings and the I am a child of God kind of go against that feeling of I'm unworthy to approach thee. I'm welcomed. I'm a daughter of God. I'm supposed to approach him. No matter what I've done, no matter how black my sins are, I'm still supposed to approach him. I'm supposed to go to him. I'm having a difficulty reconciling that within myself. Okay. So let's talk about my plans. Okay, so I've got 3 things that I'm trying to, again, reconcile within myself. The steps moving forward. There are 24 weeks before the next conference, okay? And 24 weeks before the next conference, and 3 things stuck out to me. I talked about these yesterday. One, from General Conference, the main thing that I got is to build a deeper relationship with Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ. How do I do that? The 3 things were pray, learn my covenants, and learn who Christ is to me. Okay? You know me. I like a plan. We're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. That's me. I like a plan. So, I'm trying to figure out how to set up this plan. One of the things that I worked on yesterday was there was this article from 1978 in the Ensign by this woman who gave a list of all the names of Christ in the Book of Mormon. There were 100 names of Christ in the Book of Mormon, and she listed them all alphabetically. She gave references for them, and I was like, okay, I will go through the names of Christ, and then I will I will see how those apply to me, or how he is those things to me, how he is, for instance, the name on the top of my head, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, how he is that, and how he is that to me. So I was like, well, I can't do one name a week, so let's put it into 24 categories, and we'll do one category a week. And so I'm like, okay, we can try that. I haven't come up with anything for prayer yet, and I haven't come up with anything for learning my covenants. I'm still trying to work on this names of Christ idea, trying to, because if we start next week, we've only got a few days, and so I'm trying to solidify it and praying for a lot of help and guidance, and if it's right, and if it's what I should do, and anyways, so that's where I'm at with that, trying to do that. The reason also to do this is not only to build a relationship with Heavenly Father, but I also want to use this study as the basis for my Advent calendars for December. So it kind of has like a double importance on it. So because the last time I did a study, the Plan of Salvation, I turned that into an Advent calendar, and not only did the study help me immensely, but people really enjoyed it, the people I gave it to. So that's what I'm trying to do here as well. I got to come up with something to do with prayer. I don't know yet. And also learning my covenants. I think I can only work on one at a time to form the plan, and so it'll come. It'll come. All right. That's all. We'll end with a read it, do it. Jacob chapter 5, verses 20 through 39. They highlight verse 22. The Lord of the vineyard keeps reminding us of the long time he has spent nourishing the trees in his vineyard. If you look carefully, you will see the character of Christ manifested in the Lord of the vineyard. What does this long time nourishing teach you about the character of Christ? Record your thoughts. Okay, so that was Jacob chapter 5, verses 16 through 30, and tomorrow we do 31 through 46. We will see you then. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.